Mixing and mastering aren't the most important things in your music. They're easy to sell because people are willing to pay for it, thinking they'll suddenly start sounding like the pros. And by saying that, I'm probably starting a fight with 90% of the community. But people often forget that music is ultimately an emotional expression. That's why in this video, I'll explain why songwriting should be your #1 priority. And if you're serious about taking it further, I'll link a course in the description that goes deep into arranging, harmony, percussion, and many music styles. Basically all the creative stuff no mixing tutorial can give you. Now you may think, oh, but I've never bought any mixing or mastering course. Yeah, how many mixing and mastering videos have you watched in the past few months and still can make good tracks? I know. You always feel like you've learned some new fancy mixing trick. I know the feeling, I've been there, it's addictive. Let's talk about songwriting before I show you in practice how I compose. If you take big names like Avicii, Martin Garrix, Calvin Harris, they all have such a well-developed skill called song freaking writing. Man, everything that Calvin Harris touches turns into gold. And then you've got a million of other names in the industry who won't cut through the noise simply because they're trying to imitate big names, or they're like over-composing, aiming for a new genre, or trying to be super different. Being a good EDM composer is not about creating the most complex piece. You should know the industry and then slowly add bits of yourself on that base. It is that simple. Take Avicii for example. He started out by making very simple and, I dare to say, mediocre tracks like Alcoholic. And years after making music and having built a fan base, he started mixing country music with EDM and changed the whole fucking industry. Here's the thing, once you have a fan base, it's way easier to make experimental songs and still be well received by your audience. Justin Bieber's new album, also mediocre, to say the least. And I say that as a fan of his music. That's the game. If you're small and want to be listening nowadays, when thousands of songs are uploaded to Spotify daily, you first gotta do what people want to listen, and then slowly introduce your style into it. But wait. I said earlier that you should cut through the noise with creative songwriting, and now I'm saying you should make what people want to hear? Calm down and stay with me now. Here's the way I like to work. Because I'm not a professional musician, I like to use MIDI chord progressions or online tools like Auto Chords, just to get started and get some inspiration, you know? If you play a harmonic instrument, you have the world in the palm of your hands. Anyway, we can even copy literally the whole chord progression of a song. Those chords don't have copyright. But now you're probably starting to understand what I meant by playing the industry's game and make what people want to hear. This is my latest track, it's called Prelude, and this is its chord progression. I got inspiration from a MIDI progression and started building my track around it. I slightly changed the chord progression and also I created a new one for the breakdown. Check it out. This right here is the progression I got from the sample pack, MIDI sample pack. Super simple. What I did was first part is exactly the same. Then here on the last part, I added some different chords to give it more movement, you know? So it originally sounded like this. And I did this. And here's the version I used in the breakdown. It sounds like this in the original instruments. And we get back to the original progression found in the sample pack, you know, which is this one. So yeah, we got actually 3 chord progressions in this song, and you could argue that there's nothing creative or authentic about this method, and I would simply send you to just kidding. You guys should understand this once and for all. There's nothing 100 authentic in this world. Absolutely everything is based on something else. My scientist boy Lavoisier already spit some bars back in the 1700s. Rien ne se perd, rien ne se crée, tout se transforme. In other words, nothing is created or destroyed, only transformed. So shut up and get some inspiration, will you? The way I approach music today is totally different from when I started. I used to paint some notes in the piano roll, throw in a Silent One preset, and then spend hours tweak knobs, faders, and EQs as a sort of coping to my lack of songwriting skills, you know what I mean? Again, I'm not saying you need Beethoven level composing skills, but without an emotional chord progression, a catchy melody, and a solid rhythm, you can't go much further. It's true that creativity can be taught, but you could totally use some help to simulate it. That's what she said. Listen to a ton of real music by real composers and songwriters of your preference. I listen to John Mayer's stuff every day, and man, my boy Johnny is a skilled and versatile artist.
Good evening.
If you're more of a distinguished gentleman than I am, go ahead and listen to some Jimi Hendrix, Robert Johnson, Bach, whatever you want, but do listen to rich music and fill up your repertoire. This music will be stuck in your brain, and you'll subconsciously decipher what makes them good. And when you're composing your own stuff, inspiration will take over. Songwriting is something like trying to transform your life and experience into sound. Many of those experiences aren't clean, they're not fun, because life is messy. Let the emotion of the song come through. If it doesn't wind up sounding like one of the Spotify top 50, fuck it. Pour your heart into it, get your levels right, hit export, and don't look back. Now, my intentions are not to trash audio engineering, guys. I say hard stuff to engage the audience. You know how attention span works today, right? But the truth is, those engineering skills will come in time to everyone. Understand fundamentally how each of your tools work and find your own way of using them. Master your own workflow. No truly great songwriter had success escape them because their mix wasn't good enough. If you want to support my channel, remember to check the Organic Musician course in the first link in the description. And if you want to instantly improve your musical knowledge by 3%, click these buttons. See you guys soon.